Hello, it's a pleasure for me to be here today with you. My name is Vadim. Thank you for giving me some moments of your time. To be honest, to be in a room with so many young, bright minds studying at college, so it's maybe a little anxious. Maybe there's a little pressure on me here today, but thank you for giving me this opportunity. I understand you're very busy, but you carve out some time to come hear us. I think one of the most pertinent questions that people ask today is, how can there be a loving God if there's so much suffering in the world? I think Christianity's most repeated claim today is, God loves you. God loves you. I'm sure you heard it before. You know, I think the most quoted verse from the Bible is John 3:16 that says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life." For God so loved the world. Yet, there's so much suffering. There's evil, there's sorrow, there's pain, there's hunger, there's broken lives, there's deaths and breakups. What kind of love is this? I think there's two ways to answer this question, and the first one would be maybe purely philosophical one as an answer. I think it would go like this, if I'm to paraphrase Ravi Zacharias, who said that if you claim there is evil, then you assume there is good, and if there is good, you assume that there's a moral law. If there's a moral law, you assume that there's a moral law giver, and of course, if there is a moral law giver, which would be a God. And if you don't agree with the moral law giver, then there's no moral law, then there's no good and evil, and then, well, the question is self-defeating. So here you go, I've answered the question. We're done, we can go home right now, right? But I don't think this is something that would really fulfill your interest or your help you go through your suffering so much. So I think to debunk or rebuke an argument is not enough. I think it is also important, if we are to debunk or rebuke an argument, it is important to give an explanation, an alternative explanation to that. I think many times people are using arguments against God without offering any kind of alternatives that would really hold true and answer life's most important questions, like where we come from, how should we live, or where are we going? The life's most important question, the origin, meaning, morality, and destiny. We need to give alternative answers if we are to say that there is no God. I grew up in a Christian family. My dad was a pastor, and I remember I broke my arm when I was in second grade, and he was at a pastor's conference overseas. He had to come back because of what happened to me, and be close to me. I remember one day I was with him at church. He was busy there, meeting with people, serving God. And we got a call that my little sister was hit by a car. We had to rush, to the scene of the accident. A lot of blood. She was, very, very bad hit by a car. She was almost lost her leg and all that. And when I think about that, of course, I think it doesn't compare with many people who suffer even more things like cancer and death and all that. I do not compare with that. I do not know truly what you're going through, maybe. But I think, Christian families, we're serving God, my dad is and then he goes through all this suffering. What kind of love is this? He's serving God, and then he's going through all this in his life. Of course, I would question God many times because of that. But I think suffering is a result of God allowing us to have free choice in our lives. You see, if you program a machine to work a certain way and follow you every day like a robot, and tell you every day, oh, you're beautiful, oh, you're so smart, I don't think it would ever compare to a person who has a free will, a free choice, a person who has their own personality coming to you and saying, you're smart, you're beautiful. 1,000 times a machine says that when you program it to say, does not compare to one time a real person telling you that. I think it's important to note that suffering makes us think about deeper questions about meaning. Just recently I read an interview with Michael Bublé, and he said that as his child at 3 years old was diagnosed with cancer, that made him ask a lot of important questions about life. All the fame and money didn't matter anymore, and he was just asking, well, what's this life all about? We know that there's evil out there and it's bad, but how about the evil in our heart? How do we deal with that? And the answer to that is Jesus Christ.